Josh Todd, I'm the CMO at Localytics. I've been there for about a year and a half. Localytics is a mobile engagement platform really focused on helping apps use all the data that they have on their users to create really engaging experiences with push, in-app, remarketing, even email. And connecting all those things together for them, for those brands, really helps them build that strong relationship with their customers. So the mobile engagement crisis, I mean, it's really coming upon us fast. And what we see is when we look at the broad trends across all of our users, what we're seeing is that we're at a critical point in the mobile space where the average phone has 41 apps on it. And we think about all the messages that those apps are sending out to their users. We also know that 35% of those messages aren't segmented. That means they're sending out a broad message to their entire user base. There's no message. I keep looking for use cases. It's really hard to find a use case where a message is appropriate for everyone in your audience all at the same time. I mean, they're geographically dispersed, they have different needs, they have different things that they want to get from your app, and we're not taking enough of that into account. And that combination of the proliferation of apps everywhere, so many more companies getting serious about their apps, and not using all the data that we have to communicate, it's really creating a crisis. And the issue is consumers are getting sick of getting messages that aren't targeted to what we know about them. So what we need to do as an industry is really step up, start getting really smart about how we're messaging, use all that great data we have on the users, and create welcome messages so that people don't see push as annoying. They see it as a valuable additional source of information that they're getting from the apps they love. Well, if we think about it, it starts with the very first time somebody has an interaction with you. That's when you're really starting to build that relationship. The early part of the experience is critical because that's what sets up the future life of that user with that particular app. So spending more time really focusing on making sure that you're putting your best foot forward and they're getting the best start is absolutely critical. But when I talk about messages that are welcome, it's really from the consumer standpoint to say, this message that I received, this push message, added value to me, and I'm going to reward that app by further engaging with them. One of the things we're really focused on, and we think it's going to be a big key to solving this engagement crisis, is being able to predict what users want, be able to predict what users are, how they're going to behave in the future. So things like being able to predict churn. We're doing these experiments with our customers where we're able to actually predict which customers are on the happy path to engagement versus which customers are on the path to churn. And when we understand that really early, we're able to take action before it's a win-back situation and really engage those users with the right message at the right time, all the things we always hear. But it's that knowledge of where they're going to be in 3-6 months. And the fact that they might not be there any longer gives you the ability to act today. Think about push. Push messages are delivered when the person's not actively engaged with the app. So here it's really understanding what are you trying to get them to do. Is this a user who had a pattern of engaging and hasn't engaged recently and you're trying to draw them back in? That specific use case is going to demand a very different message from somebody who's a frequent user who you also want to send them a push message to because you want them to engage or know about certain things that are happening, maybe with their account. Maybe it's a financial app, and you want to tell them about a change in their portfolio. It's really about making sure you're matching what are you trying to do with push to what is the user, what are you trying to do with that user within their life cycle? Are you trying to get them to keep coming back? Have you lost them for a while? Do you want to get them to come back and complete a purchase? So when you're thinking about push, it's really thinking about what are you trying to get that user to do? How are you getting them to the right value in your app? With in-app, I think in-app, we don't pay as much attention to in-app as we should. Push gets all the headlines, it gets all the press, and it's a powerful tool, so rightly so. But in-app is a really powerful tool. We see 4 times the conversion rate when you use an in-app message based off of a specific event that somebody's just done. So if somebody is doing something in your app, and you can couple that with the right message, you can get them to take that next step in conversion. And really what we're trying to tell people is pay more attention to in-app messaging. Think about how you can use it to help people understand changes in your UI, things, maybe they haven't completed a transaction or something else. Make sure you're thinking about how you can use that to augment your experience and make it that much more adaptable and personal for that specific user. If I read the tea leaves, especially from a powerful event like today, the thing that kept coming up is the data. Making sure that we're using that data. Now there's a lot of people who are trying to catch up and make sure that they're connecting these great tools that they built to data And sometimes you're using different data sources for that. That becomes increasingly difficult because you have multiple SDKs in the app collecting different pieces of information. And we know that those connections aren't as strong as having things in one place. So what we're seeing in the market is people wanting more of their marketing communication channels, their push, their in-app, and their other channels directly connected to their data. That seamless connection is really where you can start to get the power of those marketing messages. And when you take it a step further, it's not just about that initial thing you're trying to do. I'm sending this push message to get somebody to convert. That's great, and that's important. But where I think the space is going and what we're seeing with our most progressive customers is a real desire to understand the unintended consequences potentially and the downstream impacts. So I send a push message, great, I got this conversion rate, but what about churn? How do I factor in future engagement of these users based on the campaigns I'm running today? So what that really means is it's much more of a broader view of the way you're impacting your users with every message and every touch that you have. So I think it's a maturing and a sophistication that's coming within the space, and I think this is the year where we really start to see it take hold. Yeah, so if we think about it at a high level, we're dealing with some of the biggest enterprise customers out there, and we need to make sure that we're making it really easy for them to maximize their app experience. So Salesforce is a fantastic partner of ours because we share a lot of customers in common, and they need to make sure they're connecting their mobile activities to everything else that they're doing. If we think about how Salesforce uses exact target, we can make sure that we have a seamless connection so that when they're sending out a campaign, they're understanding all the information that they have on that user based on the behaviors they've done in the app. So really connecting those pieces and connecting in with somebody like Salesforce that's already so widely adopted, that's a really powerful thing for our joint efforts because it's what our customers really need and are demanding, which is we need the best of breed in mobile, and we also need to integrate with the places where we conduct our business today.